Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's happening? I know you haven't seen me in about a week or so, and today I wanted to make a video about my reaction to the George Zimmerman trial and my thoughts about it. And honestly, to be like completely honest, deep down inside, I knew he wasn't gonna get convicted of it. I just had a feeling he wasn't gonna get convicted of it, and it's just interesting how a lot of people are reacting to the verdict and how people are just going completely left with certain things. And you know I thought what was really interesting was how one of the jurors apparently decided she was going to sign a book deal, which I think was in bad taste, because your job or your duty as an American citizen is to sit on a jury and listen to the prosecution. And if the prosecution, because I just sat on a jury a few weeks ago, and the judge always tells you that your job is not to form your own opinion, but your job on that jury is to determine whether or not the prosecution proves whatever case that they're presenting, if they created a reasonable doubt, or whether or not they created any kind of reason for you to say this person is guilty or innocent. And I think that with all of the evidence that was presented, I really don't get how they could just let this guy walk out of the door. Because this entire incident, in my opinion, this entire incident could have been prevented if he would have just called 911, stayed in his vehicle, and ceased to pursue him, and just gave the police the boy's location, and have the police determine whether or not, if he was just going home or if he was doing nothing, or whatever the case may be. That's why we have police and law enforcement in place. I do it all the time because I live in a neighborhood where there's a lot of questionable people that roam around and stuff like that. And if I'm unsure, I would never, whether or not I carry a weapon or not, which I don't, I would never pursue anybody because, believe it or not, regardless of your race, everybody has their fears because of whatever it is that they have been exposed to, whether it's things that they've seen on TV or whatever the case may be. And we all have our stereotypes. We all are nervous about certain types of people and the way that they dress and the way that they carry themselves, or whatever the case may be. Everybody has those fears, regardless. For me, I can only speak for myself. And if I see something that's not okay, or whatever the case may be, I call the police and let them handle it from the privacy of my own house. I don't go outside. I don't bother people, because you just don't do that. Because nowadays you don't know what a person has in their heart. You don't know what they're coming from. You don't know what they're going through, and you can get yourself hurt. Zimmerman had no business following this kid. He had no business following him. Regardless of what transpired in his neighborhood previously, he is not a licensed police officer. He should have called the police and have them determine, which would have taken seconds, and the kid would have been like, look, I'm just going home from the store. And that would have been the end of it. But for him to follow this boy, pursue him, get out of his vehicle, after the 911 operator specifically asked him not to, don't get out of your car, don't pursue this kid, don't get out of your car. This entire incident, this whole trial, all of this could have been prevented if George Zimmerman would have followed just simple instructions. I'm not the kind of person that I have like hate in my heart for anybody, but I honestly think that, even though he was deemed not guilty, he will never really be free in society anyway. Because, of course, you have the people that are super angry and vigilante, type things. They want to go and, take justice in their own hands and stuff like that. And, I just think that it's just ridiculous. This country, even though it's supposed to be free, is full of a bunch of ignorance that is going around. People who develop their own prejudices based on whatever it is that they see on television. And a lot of what people fear, to me, comes from television and from stereotypes that they put certain races in. And even with our president, I have never, as long as I have been aware of politics and government, has any one president been so openly disrespected and just completely just maligned. And I think it's just a travesty because when George Bush was in office, if you said something bad about him, your ass went to jail. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was just like that. He was what he was. He was a horrible president. And it's like nobody said anything too crazy about him in public. But when President Obama has got into office, it's like you hear a lot of CNN news personalities, the right wing folk, and just different people, black and white, not just white folks, who just openly disrespect this man, you know. And I just think it's just sad that this world is just full of just a lot of people who don't really want to know. They don't want to know about anybody other than their own race, you know. And I blame a lot of media for that because you have all of the different types of reality shows out there who depict certain races a certain way. And so people just assume that black women especially are aggressive, have nasty attitudes, are ignorant, always want to jump on you and fight you and stuff like that. And then black men are just, hateful. They do drugs, they sell drugs. I mean, all kinds of crazy things because of television. And it just makes me sick, you know. And I really don't, I mean, even when the verdict was announced, I was with my family. We were at dinner at Chili's, and they have like flat screens and stuff. And it's just like amazing, because a lot of them logged on to Facebook, and Facebook, of course, was blown up. And I was actually like really shocked to hear how people, and I get that you're angry about the verdict. I'm angry about the verdict, but I don't wish death on anybody. I don't wish harm to to George Zimmerman's family. That's a horrible thing to say, regardless. God is still who he is, regardless of what you believe in. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and I believe in God. And I believe that, man's verdict is what his verdict. We all at some point have to go before the judgment seat of Christ and attest for what we have done in our lives. We have to come to terms with the things that we've done in life, whether or not we want to expose it or admit publicly to what we've done. We all have to admit to it at some point. And at some point, he's going to have to be held responsible for what he's done. And in every situation, regardless of what a person does, there are consequences. And the consequences in his case is that he will really never be free. He will never really be free. Somebody's going to try to hurt him in some way, shape, or form. Do I want anybody to hurt him? No. I don't wish, regardless of, I don't wish nothing bad on nobody. Only certain folks, only certain folks. But in his case, I would never come on here and be like, oh, yeah, we should all get guns. And I heard people saying that, oh, they're going to start giving their kids guns. They're going to go and purchase a gun and stand their ground and all that. And I'm just like, look, you are not George Zimmerman. And especially, I live in the state of Florida. Now you go out there and you go get a gun if you want to, 10, 20 life. 10 years if you pull the gun on somebody. You get 20 years if you shoot the gun, and you get a life sentence if you kill somebody. So, it's different strokes for different folks. So if a person feel like, oh, I'm gonna go get a gun or whatever, it ain't you. You not George Zimmerman. You don't have the legal team. You don't even. I don't know. You don't have the heart of a certain types of people. The rules don't apply to you like it applies to everybody else. We got this. There's a lady. She pulled a gun. She shot a gun in the air to get her abusive husband to leave her alone, and she's sitting in prison right now for 20 years. She didn't kill anybody. She stood her ground, and she's in prison for 20 years. And there's a lot of different cases. I'm hearing people, comparing the George Zimmerman case to the O.J. Simpson trial, which you can't, because it wasn't a stand your ground case. It's like, why are we comparing cases that have nothing to do with each other? Now, mind you, the O.J. Simpson trial happened in 1995. I was in the 8th grade, and I'll never forget it. I was sitting in science class. Our science teacher would, turn the TV on and let us listen to the trial and stuff, because it was just that, big. And I wasn't there. I don't know all the details as far as what transpired to say that O.J. Simpson was guilty or not guilty. I just don't know. Nobody really knows, because nobody was there. We're just going on evidence and what they have, their witnesses or whatever the case may be. Nobody knows who killed those people. Only God knows, and I would never compare any case to the George Zimmerman case, because it's you can't compare it, because it's just different circumstances, different events, small details that are different. You just don't know. In my case, in the George Zimmerman case, I really honestly feel like, this whole thing could have been avoided if George Zimmerman would have followed instructions, and he did not, because if somebody is following you and they happen to just get out of their car, you gonna fight them. What the hell? I don't blame Trayvon Martin for fighting George Zimmerman. He had been following him for a while, because the boy was on the phone talking to his friend, and he said that somebody is following me. So you just get out of your car and approach a person. It's like I have to defend myself, because I don't know what you're gonna do to me. So I don't really think that. And I don't know. Part of me just feels like I should have been a lawyer, because it's like when you listen to the attorneys, it's like they miss it on so many different levels when they cross-examine and when they state their opening statements. It's just, this entire case could have been. It's just cut and dry. If George Zimmerman would have stayed in his car, called the police, even sat on the corner and waited for the police to arrive, and just be like, that's the boy right there. Trayvon Martin wasn't running away. He wasn't doing anything crazy. The police would have came. They would have determined that he was just going home. That was it. And it would have been a done deal. George, you go back to wherever you came from. And Trayvon, you going ahead and go home. The police escorted him home, and it's all good. Nobody is dead. But he didn't do that. He didn't do that. And I just feel like to me, it's not a race thing. Now, it may be a race thing, because George Zimmerman did state that, he's tired of them getting away with stuff. Whoever them is, which is, probably black people. But, white folks break into houses. Every crime is not, I guess, specific to one race. We have white serial killers. We have black serial killers. Not many, but every single race is guilty of something. And I think that in this this should teach us that we really should just take a step back and just judge a person based on their specific actions and what they do specifically, because I've had people look at me sideways, you know, when I walk into a room, because I have a hoodie. When I was in college, I bought a college sweatshirt that just happens to have a hoodie. And in Florida, it gets cool, and we don't have real coats and winter coats, so I just wear a hoodie with a little beanie on my head and put the hoodie on top, and I've never thought anything of it. So I don't get, I've heard, because, I listen to the radio, and, I've heard some black people say, oh, or some people say rather, oh, he should not have been wearing a hoodie. Well, why not? He should be able to, this is a free country, right? He should be able to wear whatever the hell he wants to wear without people judging him based on that, you know. But it is what it is. I think society is screwed up because every single race is depicted negatively in some way. It's just that certain depictions stick more into the minds of people than others. And it just creates this bias that is just simply not true. I don't believe that people should be trying to do a witch hunt type thing, and you know they have these people out here called the New Black Panther who are offering an award to find George Zimmerman and hurt him in some way or whatever. I don't agree with none of that. You know what I mean? But I just feel like the justice system, as usual, is just crap. It's just crap because it'll work in some cases and it won't work in another case. My husband and I, we frequently watch MSNBC, and we watch Lockup. And it's funny how we'll see, it's like a documentary about prison life. And you'll see a lot of older prisoners who were convicted of crimes like robbery and stuff like that from like 20 years ago, and they're facing life sentences. And then you got people who are in jail for child molestation and all kinds of horrific crimes, and they got like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? It's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that situation. So the justice system is just completely lacking right now. And I just urge people, especially if you get called for jury duty, take it seriously. Back in the days, I really didn't because I felt like it was an inconvenience. But serving on a jury the last few weeks kind of opened up my eyes to the whole judicial system, and that, you're playing, this is somebody's life that you have in your hands. By law, your employer has to pay you, so it's not like you just sitting on a jury for no reason. So I just feel like it's sad. I feel very sorry for his family, for Trayvon Martin's family, and I feel like all the family involved in this is suffering in some way, shape, or form. George Zimmerman's family is suffering. Trayvon Martin's family is suffering. Nobody won in this situation. And I just urge people, if you see any suspicious activity or you just feel uneasy, just call the police and let them handle it. Don't take the law in your own hands, because it causes a lot of unnecessary stress, and this whole situation just could have been avoided. And I think we all need to stop blaming each other. We all need to stop looking at people and judging them and just completely, because I'm guilty of it, But I'm not going to pursue nobody. I'm not going to try to, stalk them and find out, what are they doing. I'm just going to call the necessary people and let them know there's this X, Y, and Z. Just let them know what's going on, And I think people need to just bring it on down with all the death threats and, trying to, I'm going to go get guns and supply my kids with guns and stuff. No, you and your kids going to be in prison forever because the rules don't apply to you. We live, when they say, and in the Pledge of Allegiance, and liberty and justice for all, I never say justice for all. I always say justice for some people. Liberty and justice for some people, because that's just what it is. It's just justice for some people. Some people can say stand your ground and get off, and some people can say stand your ground and go to prison. In George Zimmerman's case, the stand your ground law did not apply because he had no reason to stand his law. He just had to stay the hell in his damn car and leave that boy alone. Simple as that. Leave people alone. Call the police and let them handle it. But anyway, I don't want to be too redundant, but that's just my opinion about the whole situation. I think we all need to look within ourselves and really like try to get rid of a lot of stereotypes. I'm not saying just live life unconsciously because I'm just a naturally paranoid person. You know, I'm very cautious in everything that I do in life because the world is what it is. There are bad people out there. Are bad people just confined to one race? No. There are white people that are bad, black people that are bad, Chinese people that are bad. All races of people got bad seeds in it. Should we condemn an entire race for that? Hell no, it's not fair. You know? So hopefully we can all learn from this situation, and I don't know. At some point he may get convicted, you know, but regardless, I hope this situation wakes us up and teaches us that we all need to look within ourselves and to see what kind of prejudice, unnecessary prejudices that we harbor, and try to, you know, educate ourselves to changing that, because that's the only way you can cure racism is just through education. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.